Hey, what's good, dog? Today we're going to be reacting to another video. This video is called Milo Murphy's Laws, Transphobic and Worst Episode by Akistin Harls, Harls. I probably said it correctly at least once in those streams of words. If you're wondering why I'm talking like a man from a 1920s baseball game, it's because I can't get the voice out of my head, so we're going to do this one time for this video, while we say transphobic slander, or at least you will think it's transphobic, because in my last video here, when I was reacting to Lily Orchard's video about stuff, I was unnecessarily transphobic, and I reacted to the video with my boy Owen here. Introduce yourself, Owen.
What up, boys? I'm transphobic as heck, bro. I despise trans people, bro. I wish we could just, I wish...
You're gonna have to be careful with your next stream of words, my boy.
Cut that part out, bro. I am actually trans. I am a skeleton gender, bro. You know, bro? I love trans people so much, man.
If you love trans people, comment down below who is more transphobic in this video, me, Professor Teagues, or Owen.
And if you are transphobic, then like this video. Let's see who wins in a war. Transphobic people or transgender people?
At this point, let's not waste any more time. This video is going to be super duper long, and so I'm going to try my hardest to cut as much out as possible that isn't substanceable.
Milo Murphy's Law is the spin-off / sequel series to Phineas and Ferb that aired from 2016 to 2019 on Disney XD. For reasons both in and out of its control, it was never able to get the same attention its predecessor got, and so only had 2 seasons. But there's one episode from this show I want to talk about today, an episode that was pulled from airing in most other countries. And when it finally aired in the United States, the episode was barely discussed by the fanbase as a whole, except as a passing mention to the episode paired with it. So, what is the deal with Milo Murphy's Law, Season 2, Episode 5B, Lady Krillers?
You see, before everyone clicks the report button under this video, let's disclose what we mean by transphobia real quick. You see, we like to refer to ourselves as low-key transphobic, which sounds like a cheap method of us absolving ourselves. But it is a term that we've made up ourselves to describe our beliefs that the trans ideology is not epic and we don't agree with it, but we do not hate trans people themselves. If we were given the choice to nuke a neighborhood full of trans people, we would not take that because that is wrong. Owen doesn't like trans people, but me, however, I have had many trans friends, and so, by rule of transphobia, I am automatically excluded from the transphobic label.
A quick 101 on trans misogyny. Trans misogyny is the specific intersection of transphobia and misogyny, where trans women and trans feminine people are discriminated against and hated for being, well, you guessed it, transgender and feminine. In general society, women and men are seen as separate beings who couldn't possibly be similar to each other in any way whatsoever. Along with this, femininity is seen as subservient and inferior to masculinity. So when a trans woman comes out to the bigoted and narrow-minded, this is seen as a threat to this rigid and sexist gender hierarchy. And so, trans misogyny is born.
We are finally 8 minutes into this video. The viewer watching our video here, you do not realize that because there's so much that we are cutting out when they are actually talking about the show itself that we are critiquing here. Because it is so unimportant to us. We are here to talk about the politics of it all. What do we think about masculine and feminine hierarchy?
Okay, dude, it's there for a reason because,
society, the function.
Yeah, men are better at some things and women are better at some things, you know, bro? Men, for example, right, we're masculine, we're supposed to defend our women. If some punk is, slapping a woman's ass, we're supposed to, beat him up, you know, bro? Women, for example, are better at taking care of children because that's just how society rolls. You can see this in basically every single other animal, so why should humans be different from that kind of stuff, you know?
We focus on the peak of society. We want society to be the best it can possibly be. One of the main and most important methods of doing that is sticking to our gender roles. Now, that might sound super controlling and misogynistic, but in so many, and dare I say most scenarios where people stick to their gender roles, they come out on top almost 100% of the time, okay? Trust me. And so as for trans people, you are absolutely destroying that. The downfall of society is when everyone gets confused. Confused people sink into degeneracy, and that causes the fall of Rome. You've heard it all before, blah blah blah, right-wing propaganda, whatever. But just like the 10 Commandments in the Old Testament of the Bible, there is always some truth to ancient scrolls. The culture of drifting away from all this tradition that we've seen for centuries now is the pure downfall of our society, and I do not want to stand for for it anymore.
There are two kinds of transmisogynist tropes seen in media. The first is the deceiver trope, where trans women are seen as evil predators tricking men into believing them to be cis women and gaining something from it. The trans woman is eventually revealed to be a man, and reactions of shock and disgust ensue, as seen in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, Family Guy, and a whole slew of other media. The second is the pathetic trope, which is similar to the deceiver trope, but instead of being seen as evil tricksters, the trans feminine are seen as, well, a joke. Point and laugh at how ridiculous it is for someone deemed to be a man to be a woman. These two tropes can be demonstrated at the same time, like in, say, Tootsie. Tootsie is a romantic comedy from 1982 about a desperate actor who cross-dresses as a woman to get a role in a soap opera.
I swear, bro, this creator, they/them, puts way too much filler into the video.
Just get on with the propaganda already.
Yeah, bro, get on with how we need to kill trans folks. Stop with all this Japanese, bro. Like, we do not care.
We do not care. You see, society peaked when we continued to see transitioning as a joke. You can call it conservative propaganda when you look at all of these cartoons that looked at transsexuals as a joke, but in reality, that is how society should be, if I'm really being honest here. Transness is an ideology and you can't convince me otherwise, not just for religious reasons, but for practical reasons. I see no real reason why anyone should be trans other than the fact that, oh, they just want to be happy, they just want to be themselves. We don't need to chastise people that are different from us. But me and many others have argued that not all cultures are the same. Just because you can be trans doesn't mean that you should. Everyone feels different when they're young, and transitioning at a young age and getting the surgery once you're an adult is, I don't know. So many people detransition and they're like, oh, the left just sold the lie to me. They convinced me I was a woman. What the frick was wrong with me? And you know what the left calls those people? Conservative dog whistles. Like, what the frick is wrong with you? You sympathize with trans people up until they detransition and move away from your ideology because they realize how messed up it made them. Can you please face the facts here?
It doesn't matter that Tobias is just playing as Tobina to get a role and isn't actually trans. Being cis and straight doesn't stop people from making jokes at the expense of trans women and gay people, like seen in Tootsie. It certainly didn't stop the episode from doing these jokes.
As my dad always says, you can put lipstick on a pig. But you can.
And you might have to shave it an hour.
We'd look like idiots if we cast a man to play a woman.
It is not because I'm a man or because I'm wearing a dress. It is because I am a man wearing a dress. I may have lost my train of thought.
That's all supposed to be funny. At Tobias's expense. At trans women's expenses. And yet, in 2018, when this episode was first seen by the fan base, no one really acknowledged it. Everyone was way more interested in posting screenshots of Milo and Amanda together from Cakesplosion. If Lady Krillers was mentioned at all, it was just sort of a shrug. I did talk about this episode with other people at the time on private Discord servers, and I even made at least one post about it on my Tumblr, but it really stunk that I never saw anyone else online talk about how transmisogynist it was. The only place I could find any specific Lady Krillers discussion was in the YouTube comments of the songs in the episode. And they all varied from being freaked out by the concept, calling it part of a woke agenda, to even praise about how progressive this was, actually. I was just upset and really disappointed in both the fanbase and the people on the show. The people on the show did a transphobic episode, and I was really let down by the overall fanbase's lack of response towards it.
Well, what do I have to say about that there? Well, this creator seems like a self-centered, a valid member of the community. They see this transphobic episode, they look at the internet to see if anyone else is as outraged as them, see that no one is outraged about it at all, and then have a fit over it to the point where they have to make this documentary-style video to complain and vent about it so that the awareness can be spread everywhere and everyone can be mad about it and Phineas and Ferb will be cancelled forever. Can you please get a hold of yourself? You see, this is the problem with you people. All you care about is your ego and your own ideology, and when it's slandered by a literal cartoon, you have a fit about it, and yeah, you've heard it all before. You make a 31-minute documentary about this and you expect us to take you seriously? You are schizophrenic.
You're caring about this, even though it's like literally nothing. Like, no one cares about this episode. No kid is going to go over there and go like well, I decided to become a transphobe because Weird Al Yankovic told me to. They are probably just gonna think, haha, it's funny because guy pretends to be a girl even though he's not. Bro, shut up!
I'm waiting for the very moment that this person says that this episode is literally trans genocide. If you say that, I swear I'm going to lose my edging streak. We are going to send the Nevergoon minions to your house, and they will make sure that you never... Never mind.
Then there's Billy Bison. His entire existence has been baffling me for years. Him being some kind of Milo parody, but he summons Bison instead of General Chaos, wasn't even that funny. The whole PSA apology bit wasn't even funny. It just made me grit my teeth in dread because this episode just had one more joke to pull. Did they think random spontaneous buffalo were funny? I didn't get it. And then it hit me. What was the name of the guy in Silence of the Lambs? Buffalo Bill. Billy Bison is just a kid-friendly reference to that Buffalo Bill, the one that murders women and uses their skin to make a woman suit. Sure, you can argue semantics.
You're making like this mental gymnastics, bro. You bring up Buffalo Bill even though no one knows who that is, and you bring up Tootsie and Ghostbusters even though this episode is literally just meant to make a haha man in dress joke. This is not that deep, bro. You're like an English teacher. You're making this way too deep, even though the author did not intend this. This is why the video is 31 minutes long, because they added nothing. I came in this video just to watch Miles Murphy's Law Transphobic and Worse episode, and here I get about an essay about Buffalo Bill.
Well, it seems that Owen has said it all. You are seriously going to have that mental gymnastics in your mind and equate this little kid in this cartoon to Buffalo Bill that apparently murdered women and wore their skin like a skinwalker? What is going on? So with our personal confusion, we will allow you to speak once more, and it better shift our perspective on this schizophrenic ranting here, or else we will have to call the mafia on you. That is a joke. That's a joke. We're not threatening you.
We're gonna call the Nevergoon minions to your house.
Yes, the Nevergoon minions.
But after watching a whole episode of man in a dress jokes that was apparently based on the movie, based on the idea of a man deceptively cross-dressing as a woman for personal gain, what else is there to say? That's the joke. That's the only other explanation for this random Buffalo Bison inclusion. It could have been any large animal, but they specifically chose bison, which is technically another name for buffalo. And with this revelation, I felt worse than before. Why did they do this? I don't know, but it felt very intentional and hurtful.
I don't know why they chose Bison, but they definitely didn't choose it because, we wanted to make a joke about this Buffalo Bill character, and we're going to make like this insane mental gymnastics for no one to get. Like, bro, they probably chose buffaloes because, they're large. They can stampede you, It's funny because the goofy characters get hurt. I swear, dude, this is like some conspiracy theorist nut job of how everything is connected, bro. It's the Jews, and they made Billy Bison into this cartoon episode, and they're actually transphobic.
Absolute poetry, my boy. You are going to go very far someday in the industry. Yeah, I guess that's about it. So let's continue.
I've grown out of my awkward phase.
Yeah, I love big nose. Nothing funnier than a big nose.
The Jews have been behind it all along. What the frick?
While they didn't dedicate a whole episode to it, Phineas and Ferb were not immune to doing it every now and again. Like in Unfair Science Fair Redux, Doofenshmirtz mistakes a woman's voice for being a man's and gets punched in the face. Or in the monster Phineas and Ferbenstein, Doofenshmirtz's concoction Bruinator turns him into a fairy princess instead of a scary monster. Or Doof having to wear girls' clothing in his childhood, as seen in Gaming the System. The major monogram and Doofenshmirtz bit I just played, that was from an in-character commentary track for the episode Attack of the 50-Foot Sister, available on the Across the Second Dimension DVD. Shout out to Jade Quinto for uploading it onto YouTube years ago. Sure, it's in Dr. Doofenshmirtz and Major Monogram's voices, but it seems very clear to me that both then, and maybe even now, Dan and Swampy found the whole concept to be absolutely hysterical.
Man in a woman's dress is funny because they're not exactly transgender. Like man in a woman's dress and transgender are two different things, you know. So just imagine like a really buff guy and then he's in a skirt. Like it's just so off-putting to where it's funny, you know, bro. This is not an attack upon transgender people.
I say, who didn't find it funny at this time to see a man in a dress? Even I've worn a dress for a play that I did in school, and it was like last year. It wasn't even that long ago. And also, on 2 separate occasions, I had my biologically female friends. One of them was actually non-binary. I'm very progressive. I had them put makeup on my face, and they loved it. They loved putting makeup on my face. They got horny over it. And so even the trans community appreciates my existence. They appreciate me being around so that they can put makeup on my face, despite me not being trans. And they know I'm not trans. They know I'm a dude because I grow facial hair and I have big muscles.
Mr. Teagues is not transphobic, okay, bro? Like, he is actually my wife, you know, bro? He's wearing a, wedding dress right now, bro. You know? We're butt buddies, okay? We love to kiss.
Yes, what was that position I was doing on you last night?
Bottom.
Bottom?
69.
69?
Oral. Booty licking.
Booty licking. Face munching.
Yeah. Butt licking. Armpit licking.
Armpit licking.
Belly button.
I was gonna say belly button sniffing.
Beard kissing.
Nipple twisting.
Nipple twisting. Ear fucking.
Counting how many holes a human could possibly have. You see, we have all of the. We are not homophobic or transphobic. We are just low-key transphobic. That is all.
Yeah, bro. And we had sex with 20 different black men. Okay.
And we are not racist.
Yeah, bro. We sacrifice our life for Nigeria.
Also, I don't know where else to fit this in, but as an asexual person, I find Dan Povenmire confirming Perry the Platypus to be asexual on TikTok a bit, conflicting. I think he was just reiterating that Perry the Platypus will never be paired with anyone romantically. Which would be aromantic, but I doubt he knows the difference. Either way, I felt like he just picked asexual as a safe alternative to gay, bisexual, or transgender to both appease queer fans of the show, and so Disney wouldn't get on his ass, which really sucks and has its own problems.
Bro.
We don't care.
Yeah.
You know, okay. Remember when they decided that SpongeBob was gay? It was like a little bit before Steven Hillenburg died. I don't know how he allowed that tweet to be out there during Pride Month. But why do you have to make SpongeBob gay? Let alone Perry the Mudaheckin' Platypus? Why the frick does it matter? I don't sound like I'm from the 1920s now. What the frick happened? I sound like I'm from the 50s. Why does it matter? You schizophrenic, I'm going to put you in the psych ward, I tell you. Also, he's the creator of the show. Why are you judging his decision on what schmexuality Perry the Platypus is? I don't want to see a platypus get down on the cum clown.
The first song, however, is so jarringly, viscerally upsetting that it's almost surreal to hear it sung by Danny Jacob with the lyrical sensibilities that I'm usually used to hearing in all the legit bangers from the Phineas and Ferb Milo Murphy's Law song library, with lines specifically pointing out Tobina's need to shave more frequently and her broad shoulders. It is hitting on so much specific trans-misogynist mockery. Even worse, it goes on to essentially say that trans women not only are basically men, but are also just straight up ugly.
Are they wrong, though? Look at Gorlock the Destroyer.
Yeah, bro.
Are they wrong? Is she, actually beautiful?
Look at Lily Orchard. Okay, bro.
Are they actually fabulous? I know I gassed them up in my video talking about them, but still, for a person in general, forget the trans thing. Are they drop dead gorgeous?
Yeah. No.
Alright, you can clearly see the masculine traits of their physical features. And so the fact that we are not allowed to say stuff like that is very concerning. You are censoring the freedom of speech. I can call virgin gamers ugly because they are. They don't go outside, they don't have proper skincare routine, and they grow out their facial hair way too long. How many of them are going to be offended? Probably the schizophrenic ones, but that's about it. How many trans people are going to be offended if I call most of them ugly? Probably 99% of them. You see, what is going on? I know it's weird for me to compare the trans community to the gaming community, but still. Your life choices should not affect our life choices and our sense of humor and our criticisms of humanity in general. Why are you guys the exception?
That's just a part of reality, right, bro? Like, you can definitely criticize my life choices, right? You still have the freedom of speech. You deciding, oh, I'm actually a woman, we should be able to criticize that. I mean, you chose to do that. That's just part of life. Like, everyone is going to criticize you for at least something. You deciding, well, I should actually be the exception because I am a woman, bro. No one cares, bro. People are going to criticize you, and you have to deal with that. If you do not want to deal with that, then you can move to communist Canada, and Justin Trudeau will take away your freedom of speech for being transphobic or whatever.
He explains that he made Baljeet to represent kids from cultures who don't have the same concept of summer vacation as North Americans do, and that they leaned onto the cultural differences for jokes, but says they might not have aged well. Then he says he found out from a South Asian creator on the platform that people are using Baljeet to attack him and other South Asians, using Baljeet as an insult, and Dan denounces this.
You see, here's something that a lot of people seem to forget these days. Comedy is absolutely subjective, and that seems like a cheap blow in conversations like this, but let's not pretend that it's untrue. You people are offended by it because it is seemingly attacking your community, but would us, cis, straight, white males, would we consider it to be hilarious if we watched the episode ourselves? Maybe. Maybe it's a little bit more funny now because it's satire of the trans community in reality. So does that make them a bad person for attacking your community, supposedly, and trying to make the majority population of the world laugh in return? I don't know. I don't think so, because comedy is comedy. It's not like they are going to kill a person that is a man that's wearing a dress. I don't know about that.
Transgender people, like, they find Sans from Undertale says trans rights and then consider it to be like the most funniest thing ever, right? Just be able to make fun of yourself sometimes. For example, my boy Teagues, he's Mormon, right? South Park made a Mormon episode. Instead of going like I'm actually oppressed, he laughed at the Mormon episode, or I think he did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro. Don't be like these people and make a 31-minute documentary about Miles Murphy Law episode that no one cares about.
You see, something that these people fail to understand is that we can laugh at jokes at our own expense. It's funny to critique ourselves sometimes. It's funny to make jokes about ourselves. Most of the people I know make jokes about themselves, but when it comes to trans people, they're like, oh, that's a low blow, bro. You can't talk about me because I'm a woman wearing a man's jeans, or I'm a man wearing a woman's dress. Like, what's going on? Why? Why is that an issue when it's you specifically? Some trans people are okay with that, and that is epic. I need more of you to not be offended sometimes. But for the vast majority, what's going on? You're all hive-minding yourselves to be offended over the dumbest things. Like, what is wrong with you? Yeah. Why can't you be based like a normal person and laugh at your own expense?
I make fun of myself sometimes, bro. Like, I have extremely large buck teeth, and instead of going, you can't make fun of me, bro, that's oppressive, I make jokes about myself, bro, okay? I look like Tomater, bro. I don't take offense when someone makes a Bugs Bunny or a freaking bucktooth joke, because I do not care, bro. Like, what good is it going to do to just be offended and be like a libtard?
It's been slowly getting better over the years, sure, I guess, but the amount of good representation that I've personally encountered, I can count on maybe barely two hands. It was worse in the 20th century and the early 2000s, of course, with people barfing at seeing a trans woman or pretending to be one to gain something, so at least it's a little better now. It's just so strange to see this type of joke as a whole episode nowadays, even back in 2018. I remember this movie called Missing Link came out the same year, and the main character is ridiculed for going by the name Susan, at least at first. It's just ridiculous to keep this kind of trend going in this day and age. And on-screen representation isn't the end-all, be-all either. I want there to be more transgender and non-binary people working on shows and stuff as writers, storyboard artists, directors, and producers. So that when something like Lady Krillers is written, someone is safe enough to point out that these types of jokes aren't okay and can contribute to more harm towards these vulnerable groups of people.
Bro. We already have DEI, and this is failing across America, bro. We do not need transgender and non-binary and skeleton gender people on cast, bro. Even then, bro, you can just make regular people say like oh wow, bro, this joke might be insensitive. We don't need a freaking cast member saying, as a transgender non-binary Muslim, this is really offensive, and you need to realize that you're contributing to trans holocaust, bro.
You see, doesn't it sound like an amazing idea to represent literally everyone? That sounds amazing, right? So why don't we represent every single ethnicity and every single thing in Hollywood all at the same time, okay? Why don't we use literal ethnicities as props so that we can push some sort of weird agenda to make kids less racist for some reason? Like, are the kids racist at all? I don't know, but why don't we have more British people representation? Why don't we have a spin-off of Phineas and Ferb where there's a British guy, okay? That's representing my ethnicity. Yeah, I want more of that, don't I? Well, I'm not going to get it because people hate British people, and I can see why. I've been to England 3 times, and it is a terrible country. Now I don't want representation of British people. I hate my own people, okay? How about you, Owen? Do you want more Billy Irish representation in your shows?
Irish control the world, bro. Okay, bro? People say it's like the Jews, but it's actually the Irishmen. So we do not need more Irish representation, bro. As an Irishman, I will realize the oppression that I am facing towards transgender people, bro. I am sorry.
Why don't we have more autistic representation and more ADHD representation? That's gonna make the shows better, right?
Why don't we have more racist representation? Why don't we have more transphobic representation, bro? There needs to be representation for everybody, and I don't mean blacks, transgender, and Muslim. I mean every single type of person, bro. So like we need representation for half British, half American, Mormon transphobes, bro. Like Mr. T's.
I mean, yeah, that's another thing. Why don't we have more Mormon representation, huh? Why don't we have a whole TV show about Mormon missionaries that knock on people's doors and get alcohol thrown in their face to scram off of the property of these drunk alcoholics and stuff? Like, that would be amazing. That would make Hollywood and Disney Channel much better, wouldn't it?
Imagine how hard it would be to have a Mormon versus Amish war show.
Yes, Mormons, because we have machine guns.
There have been hundreds of bills in the United States alone targeting trans people for simply being in the public eye or trying to medically transition. If you think these laws will only affect trans and non-binary people, no, they won't. Cis people have already been caught up in the frenzy of these laws if they're mistaken to be transgender in any way. Besides, what matters the most is that trans people, children even, have died because of this bigotry. Like Layla Alcorn, Nex Benedict, and Brianna Gray, all transgender teenagers who died as a result of the violent bigotry they were receiving from those around them. One of the other lyrics in that Tobina song was, "Though you're a star, we'll keep you far from the freeway just for safety." I know in context it's because of Murphy's Law, but do you know how many trans and non-binary people have died violently because of their being who they are? And that's the end result of trans misogyny, of all types of transphobia and bigotry.
Do you know how many Christians have been genocided throughout history for simply being Christians? You see, Christians, according to Candace Owens, is one of the most prosecuted religions in the entire universe. And again, like I said further, like towards the beginning of this video, not all cultures are made the same. And so the fact that we need to put you people up on a pedestal because a few of you got murdered by a bunch of like actually terrible people that we do not claim, by the way, it's getting crazy in your crazy taxi.
Literally every single type of person, type of group gets hate crimes committed against them. Jews, Mormons, Christians, transgenders, bro. This happens to everybody. And still, dude, we do not need Mormon representation, bro. You do not need priority in the Miles Murphy's Law casting.
You see, I'm gonna make a brave statement here, because I think the reason why a lot of trans people are being killed nowadays, specifically nowadays in the 2020s, is because of it's because of the agenda that you're all pushing now. You can see that we are very angry that you are pushing this upon our children and our cartoons and all of that. And so decisions have consequences, okay? I'm not saying it's right to murder people that don't agree with us and stuff, but to say that the trans community themselves are not at fault whatsoever is completely just a bruh moment, okay? Breaking news, okay? Professor Teagues is sympathizing with trans murderers. Nuh-uh, that's not what I'm saying, okay?
Do you know how scary it is to be a trans person right now? To be part of a marginalized group of people with rights and lives being threatened or taken away? It's terrifying.
It's so scary, bro, because transgender people get invited to the White House.
They get every single politician and every single famous person PP writing them.
They get to play in women's sports and basically just win. Oh my gosh, dude, I'm so sorry. You believe you have a vajiji. It is not scary right now to be a trans person. The creator posted, like, in the UK right now, you can't have puberty blocker. UK security uses emergency powers to criminalize possession of puberty blockers, bro. It is not your civil right to force kids to be transgender. Stop on this ego. The mental gymnastics on this video is actually making me go crazy.
The kinds of pull in Hollywood that you people get nowadays is nowhere near the pull that even Christians get. So, in that sense, why don't we make everything fair, okay? Why don't we make Christians have their own platform in Hollywood? Well, spoiler alert, Hollywood is a bunch of satanic pedos. So, they don't want them Christians. They want everything that aligns with Satanism. They want the transness. They want the Antichrist. Okay, get the frick out of here.
To anyone watching this, please examine and ask yourself how and why you feel the way that you do about transgender folks and other marginalized people, and try to do better. And if you're a showrunner or want to be one someday, hire those people and make an environment that is safe for them to speak out if you do wrong. And listen to them, because their voices matter, even without a system of bigoted and ignorant people that want to do away with folks like us.
Like, bro, I know I keep on saying this, bro, but this is a freaking episode from 2018 that no one remembers, bro. Like, it is not that deep. Nah, bro, we need to give this one a dislike.
We dislike the video, I guess. I don't usually dislike videos, but Owen made me do it. He grabbed my mouse and he did it off screen.
Yeah, bro, I touched him.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess that concludes it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sorry the schizophrenia kind of leaked onto us and we just went psycho, okay? You see, I understand that it will be hard to distinguish what we said was a joke and what we said was actually us being genuine. You're just gonna have to figure that out for yourself. Comment down below. Again, who do you think is more low-key transphobic? Professor Teagues, me, or Owen? Sub to the second channel, follow the Rumble, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, and join the Discord server. Follow other social media. Bye-bye.